I mean, of course we're disappointed. It's not the end of the world for us. Now we have to go and we all have our clubs to focus on and a lot of big things ahead. So I'm not overly negative about the situation. It's difficult. We're not at our best, and that's it. Where do American fans go from here? I guess. I just hope that they continue to support us. That's all you can do. We're really thankful for the ones that just support us through it all. It's not the best time for us, but I promise that it's not for a lack of effort and how we want this so bad. I want this team to be successful so bad, and so do the guys in the locker room. So we're trying. I'm not gonna say how happy I am after these games. We were definitely in a better spot a bit earlier, but now this is the position that we're in. We have another opportunity, obviously Gold Cup this summer, and just to keep building as a team. But of course, we definitely need to improve. I mean, it's an easy thing to just say we lacked aggression. There's a lot of things that go with that. It's not just fighting and kicking the other team. I mean, you gotta. You also got to play better football. You got to have better ideas. You've got to, just more aggressive in the way that we attack, and just getting, just creating more, getting more opportunities, and just being more of a threat to the other team. So.
All right, so there are definitely some lingering questions here from the Concacaf Nations League. Obviously, we're starting with the U.S. men's national team. Ale, for you, is winning the Gold Cup a must for the USMNT?
Okay. Really don't care whether they win the Gold Cup or not. What I want to see is improvement, a leap forward, a step forward. Let's start with a step forward and then a leap and then a jump. And then let's just see if indeed what we think Mauricio Pochettino can bring to this team actually displays itself out on the field. We just haven't seen any evidence of something that is better than whatever was there before. In fact, there is a very fair argument to be made that they were better off before, that they were actually winning things before, that they were not losing in this sort of manner before, at least not consistently. So I need to see an improvement that is obvious to see. And while Christian Pulisic said, well, the easiest thing to point at is the aggression. Yes, because it's obvious. It's obvious. It's obvious that this team lacks aggression. And so if he wants me to spell it out for him, I will. Christian, I'll spell it out for you. I'll define it for you. 92nd minute, your team is losing 2-1. And you guys are keeping possession in the back line and in the midfield. Again, let me repeat that. You're losing 2-1 in a game in which you were supposed to show a response, and you're keeping possession of the ball in the midfield and the back line without actually showing aggression to get the ball forward, to manufacture chaos, to push for a goal. Your team, the United States, never looked likely to score a game-tying goal. In fact, I would argue that Canada looked more likely to score a third goal themselves.
And this is coming off a match that went viral for the celebration, right? Against the U.S. men's national team. They should have won that game against Panama, and there was no fire to even come into this match, like you just mentioned, Ale, and to show some sort of life, aggression. But Christian says, of course we want to win everything. Of course we want to win. Show it, Mal, no?
Well, easier said than done.
Right.
The big question is why we're not seeing it. It's clear we're not seeing it. Now the question is, why are we not seeing it? Are we not seeing it because players are not that good enough? Players are not that motivated? Manager was not able to deliver his message to the players? And I'm not speaking in tactical terms here, because Mauricio Pochettino should by now have that all ironed out. We should know what this team wants to look like, but at least I want to know if during halftime in the semifinal against Panama, what was that message? And did the players get that message? Did they understand that
So you're
message?
doubting the locker room environment here.
Yes, and if the manager is acting as the leader everyone expects him to be. Because if the most important player of this team, I didn't say the leader, I said the most important player of this team, that's Christian Pulisic, shows this lack of fire, for lack of a better phrase. How's the rest of the team gonna look like when the most important player of the team is acting like, well, I mean, it's not that big of a deal that we have this kind of
being pulled off in the
performance.
70th minute.
Yeah, no, not only that, but I mean, just not only listen to what he says, look at how he says it. Mm-hmm. To me, that message is really, really concerning because he's supposed to be the one exemplifying what the team should look like, and it's not encouraging, not at all.
Sorry, Herc, just very quickly, I would just say this. His first reaction, or the first question or answer that we heard there, he's talking about, well, we'll just go back to our club teams and
that really stood out to me too.
We'll move on from this and we'll be okay. In a moment in which your performance and your team performance has been as disappointing as this weekend was for the United States men's national team, why are we thinking about our club teams? Read the room.
Because that's his comfort zone.
Yeah, it's
that's
like,
his comfort zone.
You cannot be so tone deaf to not recognize that the fans of the United States national team, which, by the way, those that showed up to the games for the United States, and it's just a few of you, good on you. You really believe this is really your team. Those people deserve an award because nobody else showed up. Yeah. Beyond that, you have to give me more as a team captain of a national team than we're just going to move on from this and go and play our club soccer.
The most disappointing thing here is he wasn't the team captain against Panama, and Mauricio Pochettino gave him the armband against Canada because he wanted to see a reaction from Christian Pulisic specifically, who he called out specifically that he needed to see more of. And I don't know if he waved Pochettino off in the substitution. He wasn't asked about it. Pochettino was not asked about it. Christian wasn't asked about it. I'm going to give Christian the benefit of the doubt. But when they ask him where do the fans go from here, he almost chuckles under his breath. And I understand how socially things can be a discomfort for him in front of the camera, and that's not his forte. That's fine. But you need to understand that Ali's right here. Read the room. You can't go think about AC Milan. Now, I played AC Milan, by the way, and said, yeah, and how great that is for you because you're killing it over there, and just say, well, we'll figure this out later. We'll be fine. Everything's okay here. Nothing to see here. It's the way these players have treated this environment for the longest of times.
Right.
Because I remember having the old national team coach in the Football America studio looking him in the eye and saying, I know you in the locker room heard when I called you guys soft. And he looking down, and there was no reaction. Nothing has changed. These players are still soft in their actions. Mauricio Pochettino is now here. And I think that's the most frustrating part because you asked Ale, is it a must for them to win the Gold Cup? And Ale's like, I just want to see some change. I just want to see some improvement. You don't pay $6 million a year for that. While you're right, Ale, you're absolutely right. But that's
got to start somewhere.
But that's
true.
If you're the U.S. Soccer Federation, if you're the U.S. fan base, that's not what you're paying this guy to be the most handsomely played international manager, one of the most handsomely paid international managers in the world's game today. That's not what it's here for. And it just seems like this team is regressing. Was it the right move to move on from Greg Berhalter? Absolutely. Now prove the right move was Mauricio Pochettino.
That's a really good question, or really good statement. Here's why. We got to go back and see what Mauricio Pochettino's career as a manager has been. In Spain, at Espanyol, rebuilding a team, he did it well. Didn't win anything, but just was part of that rebuild. He moved on, managed Southampton, did the exact same thing. Took a very bad team, gave some structure, some shape, but that was it. Didn't win anything. Moves on to Tottenham. What did he win at Tottenham? Nothing really. Then he gets to manage PSG. And at that time, he had Messi, Neymar, and Kylian Mbappe. One of the worst performances we've seen from that trio was under Mauricio Pochettino. So now you have to wonder, be careful what you wish for when you sign up to bring in a manager like that. Because is this exactly what the team needed? Or was it only a fancy name with a nice CV, cool pedigree to try to change things? be careful what you wish for, because what the team really needs right now, I don't think he's the right guy for it.
Yeah, it's tough. We have to get to Landon Donovan tweet.
Yeah, sure,
so we
go
can
ahead.
continue the conversation
Go
because
ahead.
this is really interesting from someone who obviously knows what it is to be under pressure. He said it very clearly. I'm so sick of hearing how, quote, talented this group of players is and all the amazing clubs they play for. If you aren't going to show up and actually give about playing for your national team,
Give a what?
decline the invite. Talent is great. Pride is better. I don't feel like shelling out extra money.
We're on plus.
Oh, no.
We're on plus.
Come on, man.
Ale, thoughts?
Come on,
We're on
man.
plus.
While the sentiment that Landon Donovan has shared there is something that I think many people share when it comes to this group of players, I'm not sure that he should be the conduit of information. I'm just saying.
It's interesting that you say it, and I interrupt you for a reason, because Carly Lloyd, and I told producer Beto this on our call earlier today, I said it's very Carly Lloyd coded. And she responded, quote, "They don't make them like you guys anymore, #different breed."
When I think of the United States and their success at the national team level, while Landon Donovan plays a part of that and Clint Dempsey plays a part of that, it's not what made those teams efficient and effective and hard to play against. It was the personality of the totality of the group. It was the sum of the parts. And it was the personality, and Christian Pulisic, again, I'll go back to something he said. You know, it's easy to point at the fight and the aggression. Those teams had fight. First and foremost, they were difficult to play against because they kept running. And I can tell you this, and having played against the United States, part of the conversation in preparation to play against the United States would be, no, estos gringos sí corren. Estos gringos corren y van y vienen y van y vienen. Yeah, and they'll never stop, and they'll keep coming, and they'll keep fighting, and they'll make it difficult, and they'll get behind the ball, and they're going to challenge the ball and get numbers around the ball, and they would be organized and disciplined and all those things. So the makeup of the United States in terms of the talent level should demand fight and aggression first, especially when you're playing against teams in Panama and Canada who may consider themselves to be lower class citizens when they look at the United States in Concacaf. Oh, there they are. You are the target if you're the United States. And the quicker you realize this and accept this, you would understand that Panama has been looking up at you for a while, and Canada has been looking at you for a while, and you are the target. And I'm coming after you, and I'm going to challenge you every time that I get an opportunity to play. So if you're not ready for the fight and you're not ready for the aggression, you're not going to win this sort of games.
Herc?
He's right. Landon Donovan is right in the sentiment. Pride. You got to care. If not, decline. Because we've seen national team coaches in the past not take players to the World Cup for those very same reasons.
Right.
Like who?
Like a lot of different players. Landon would know exactly who I'm talking about. This group, what irks the previous generation about this group is they've had all the advantages given to them that previous generations have not. Landon Donovan was a hell of a player. A Landon Donovan today could have played in some of those teams. And Donovan yesterday, by himself, probably thought that was difficult. But today, seeing more players out there, that could have been something. Clint Dempsey, that could have been something. All these players of the past, that could have been something. These players have all those opportunities afforded.
I get it, but Landon Donovan is not better than Christian Pulisic.
I'm not saying he is.
And
Oh, no. I'm not
Here's the
saying he
thing,
is.
though. Here's the thing.
I'm not saying he is.
So what I'm saying is that then the expectations, even though we're looking at it from the perspective of Landon Donovan and what he might have been if he had different circumstances around him, the truth is that Christian Pulisic is where he is because he's a really good player.
And nobody's taking anything away from Christian Pulisic.
And so
He's an unbelievable player. Nobody's taking away anything from Christian Pulisic.
The timing, it's a little bit questionable for Landon Donovan. Listen, one of the best, if not the best player ever to represent the U.S. At the national team level. Now, usually, and I say this as someone who suffered Landon Donovan's performances with the U.S. men's national team, sometimes he keeps his thoughts to himself, right? When things are good or not that good. Now it's when he decides to talk. Here's how I see it. I might be 100% wrong. It's just the way I see it. I feel Landon resents the hype around some of these current players.
Who? We keep saying these
I think
players.
Landon resents the hype around Christian Pulisic,
Well, that's not hype.
Weston McKennie, Timothy Weah, the golden generation. And he even puts talent in quotations. So now when things are going south is when he decides to express his thoughts. I think it comes from a place where he resents, again, the hype and the praise that some of these players receive.
I don't think he resents the hype, but I think he absolutely demands that this is earned. This generation, I mean, we can go back to 2002. Landon was a teenager. That generation did something. You know, Bob Bradley's generation, 2009, 2010, they did something.
What happened, Mom?
Jurgen Klinsmann, you know, national team, group of death, they did something. This generation, if it doesn't involve Mexico, they've not done anything. So while Christian Pulisic, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, individually in your clubs, you are of a different breed than we've seen in this program before. Absolutely. Christian Pulisic, when it's all said and done, is going to be the best player on the men's side in the U.S. men's national team that's ever played the game. And he's only 26 right now. Yeah. That's going to happen. But it ain't happened yet. Not with this team. They've not had those moments where they've had to overcome at the international stage against real competition. And that's what irks players of the past. That's all it is. That's all it is. And this generation, sometimes it feels like they don't care. Because I'm going to go back and I'm going to be comfy here in Milan, at Juventus.
Right, those are nice.
That's just what I'm going to do.
Clean. Those are clean.
Those are
Yes,
very
sir,
clean.
we
They're
know
not,
you
they're not
guys.
as clean
Alex-
as
Yes, sir,
Cristina's
you
shoes.
guys-
And Ale, you will know this. We come from a generation where you had that chip on your shoulder because nothing was given to you. And these players right now, you have, and I say this giving them credit for having that good half season or that good season, and you're off. You're on the radar to some of the most important leagues, some of the most important teams, and that didn't happen before. So take advantage of it and bring that back to the national team.
How do you guys think current players will take Landon's words? Here's why. U.S. soccer in this country, right, tends to be a small club, right? It's not that big compared to other countries like Mexico or in South
American soccer.
And if you take the attendance of the games this
Correct.
weekend, yeah,
Well,
it's really
it's
small.
an even smaller club.
Really small.
So if I'm one of the younger players, part of this Nations League Final Four, I was going to do the Saget joke, but I'll save that for later. Final Four roster.
Throw it away. Don't save it.
Not that one, another one.
Delete it.
And if I'm one of those young players and I see what maybe my idol says that about our team, I feel that's going to have an even more negative effect on some of these players. And if you don't have the right leadership with the manager or among players, I mean, this can have a consequence on those young players.
Herculez doesn't want to hear this, but they're considered all-timers.
Oh, no, yeah. You're right.
We already turned the page on these guys, and we don't even pay attention. And so, look, that Landon Donovan comes out and says something I don't think that has any significance to this group of players. I don't think that matters to them whatsoever.
I agree.
It'll be something that people will talk about in the news cycle, and then that news cycle will disappear as things quickly
With the show.
often do. Yes.
Most likely.
Yes. And so I'm taken aback a little bit by some of the things and how dismissive Christian Pulisic was in his post-match there. And that's the thing that is concerning. And so if I go away from the fight and the aggression that he doesn't want to talk about, then let's talk about the tactics and let's talk about the performances. And I would ask to Christian Pulisic, what is your best position in this national team? What is it that you want to do in order to be the most successful version of yourself and most impactful version of yourself with this national
Don't you
team?
think Pochettino had that conversation with him?
Well, I imagine that he did, but it doesn't show in the way.
It didn't look like it.
It doesn't show because he's playing sort of this underneath playmaking role that I don't think suits his skill set. He can appear there, but he has to start from wider areas.
Not in a deep block.
Appear in the middle as a second striker, if you will, every so often, but not start there because I think he needs space. Timothy Weah playing on the left-hand side, and some will say, well, that's how the goal came about. Okay, that's a one sequence in which it actually worked. But think about logically. Tim Weah is a guy that likes to run in space. When you play him on the left-hand side and he wants to cut to his right foot, which is where he feels most comfortable, he's cutting into the help, into the crowd, into the midfielders, not into space. And you lose an outlet down the right-hand side. Now, I could keep going in questions that I have about the tactical approach of Mauricio Pochettino and how he utilizes his team. But if we focus on Christian Pulisic, what is your best position? If you want to play free, if you want to be the sort of the Messi of Argentina to the United States, then be free. Have a feel for the game. Appear here, there, and everywhere.
Right, but communicate it. Communicate it.
But what tends to happen with Christian Pulisic is, because of the same personality that doesn't like to engage with the media or whoever, he tends to disappear. He tends to go quiet.
Here's the thing,
and
though.
this team cannot afford Christian Pulisic to go quiet.
I know, I understand, and we're comparing him a lot to Landon Donovan. Here's the thing, though. Growing up with that generation of the U.S. men's national team, the Mexican fans hated Landon Donovan.
Yeah.
Well, they hate Christian Pulisic, too.
Not that much.
But it's not about
at
that.
the same level.
Not at that level.
Not at the same level.
Well, you old heads don't recognize
And,
Not even close.
And Landon was really good at that, and having really the U.S. men's national team fans really behind this team because they saw that aggression and they saw that passion in him. We're not asking Christian Pulisic to say the perfect things in press conferences. Could he have done a little bit better in his speech? Absolutely. He is Captain America after all. But show it on the field. That's what fans really, truly want to see. Do you want to say something to wrap up real quick because we have to move on?
No, I don't think this is all on Christian Pulisic. He's just because he's the highest profile player. We're putting so much attention to him. And I do think he is so similar to Landon Donovan in his demeanor and also in his play. Both two very good footballers.
Very good. I know we're moving on, but if Pulisic is Messi, then he has to expect this sort of scrutiny.
Absolutely.
True.
That's just the way it is.
True.